I'm getting sick and tired of people asking for techniques to develop an executive presence. And maybe I've been guilty of feeding you information that makes you think, makes you assume that there are certain frameworks and techniques to develop an aura of authority. In this video, I'm not going to edit it. I'm not sending it to my editor. I'm not going to cut anything. I'm just going to keep it raw. It's 8:15 p.m. on Monday and I'm tired, so I'm just going to give it to you raw. I'm going to tell you why most people fail at commanding respect and having a grounded presence. And I assume if you're watching this video, first of all, thank you for your support. And secondly, you're very likely somebody interested in social dynamics and improving their communication skills. The very first thing that I tell clients when they join Diamond Eye, our program, is you will learn techniques. You will learn frameworks. But that's 15, 20%. 20% is even generous. 15, 20% of what you're going to learn. Can you guess what the rest is? It's the inner work. What's inner work? Inner work looks like this. Looks like this. It's not homework. There's some homework. Inner work is self-reflection. The biggest mistake that I see people make when they're trying to develop an executive presence is thinking that they have to learn more things rather than just being comfortable being themselves. Now, this isn't a simple claim, just be yourself. In fact, just be yourself is bad advice when given to somebody who struggles to be authentic and has an extremely high level of self-esteem. Most of my viewers, my audience, I'm thankful to say, are pretty intelligent, high performing. That's why you're watching this, because you're curious about human nature. But I would ask myself, if I were you, how much energy and time, maybe even just in the background, at the back of your head, do I spend thinking that I need to learn more techniques in order to succeed, in order to become socially confident? This is a universal principle. This video is not for everybody. Some people might get bored hearing this deep information, but if you're going to stick around, I promise you it's going to change the direction of your life. A universal principle is it's a principle that you can apply to any area of life. For example, consistency. Whether you go to the gym and you're trying to get in shape, consistency is going to help. Whether you're trying to grow a business, consistency is beneficial. With communication skills, if you're consistent in training and practicing, of course. So consistency is an example of a universal principle. Communication adheres to universal principles. One of the most important principles is the harder you try, the harder it's going to feel, and the less likely you are to produce results. Now, why is that? Am I asking you to stop trying? Stop going after your goals? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you try to put on a mask, a facade, while communicating, you are directly heading in the opposite direction of your authentic self. So in meetings, in social interactions, when you're recording content, the ironic thing is, the less you try to be somebody that you're not, the more success you'll have. I'll give you an example. Are you introverted or extroverted? Somewhere in the middle? I believe it's a spectrum. Where are you leaning? I'm leaning more towards introvert personally. One of the most freeing realizations that I had as an introvert is the fact that I don't have to go out and meet people and socialize if I don't wanna. Even if I go to a networking event, This doesn't mean I'm going to stand there awkwardly with my hands in my pockets in a corner, not talking to anybody, no. But when I'm in an interaction, I don't force myself to say things for the sake of saying things, for the sake of just being social. In fact, it might surprise you, as a communication coach, my wife makes fun of me for this all the time. When I'm in a social setting, I typically speak less than everybody else there. Now, if you're a hardcore introvert and you're socially awkward, this advice isn't helpful, which is why nuance is important. I want you to think for yourself. If you struggle to speak up, which I don't, I've worked on that, I used to. When you struggle to speak up, sure, then it's good for you to train yourself to speak up and practice getting out of your shell. There was a time and place for me where I call it an immersion period of developing a skill, the skill being articulation, speaking. There was an immersion period that I had where I would proactively speak more than I normally did because I was trying to get out of my shell. But now I'm at a point where I can sit there comfortable in the silence, comfortable in my own skin. And again, I'm assuming that you're actually fairly confident. A lot of my clients, a lot of my viewers are senior professionals, leaders, directors, CEOs, entrepreneurs. And if that's you, or if you're looking to step into a leadership role, you're probably already fairly confident. Now, because you have that baseline, you have the confidence, which got you to where you are as well. You have the competence, which also helped you get to that position. Now, you can take the pressure off yourself. What got you to where you are now is not the same thing that will get you to a place where you have an executive presence. I have clients who were engineers, for example, and then they became director, and then now they're on the way to becoming CEO. And they all told me the same thing. What got me to engineer to director isn't the same thing that's required and asked of me if I were to step into a C-suite position. Because then it's presence. So let's say you have the competence and the confidence. I'm not suggesting that you don't feel confident sometimes in meetings. That's fine, that's human. But see if you can go into your next interaction and just relax. As simple as that sounds, literally just relax. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not. True confidence looks like total relaxation in the body. That's why they can make eye contact easily. That's why their tonality is steady. It's not nervous and using a lot of filler words and mumbling. No. It's relaxed. They're comfortable with the pauses. They're comfortable with the silence. So stop trying to be somebody that you're not. This applies, again, it's a universal principle. This applies to any situation. If I have a client, and I have, who ask me, how do I give this negative feedback, this criticism to this team member of mine? I say, what's stopping you? They say, well, it feels uncomfortable. Okay? And that should stop you? Sometimes you just need a nudge from a coach, you know? We hold our clients to a very high standard. If you want help with this, you can book a free introductory communication audit, a 15-minute Zoom call with us in the description below. Anyway, this was my rant of the day. See you next week.